In this video, I'm going to show you 3 common mistakes I see many beginner golfers making, and if you can fix these 3 mistakes in your golf game, you're going to be playing golf much better and you're going to see much lower scores. Alright, so one of the first mistakes I see golfers making is they're trying to help the golf ball up into the air. Instead of utilizing the actual loft on the club face, this loft is what's going to launch that golf ball into the sky, but instead golfers try to do things manually, trying to help the golf ball up. I've seen golfers do things like leaning back and trying to swing up on the golf ball, trying to actually lift it up with their club. I've seen golfers come through the hitting zone and hold off their hands, trying to guide the club through the hitting zone, rather than just letting those hands whip over and release the club head into the golf ball with lots of speed. So there's some different errors you might be making that you could correct, and you'll start hitting the golf ball with much better contact, and you'll hit those shots much higher. You don't have to help the golf ball up. You can let that loft of that club naturally hit that golf ball and pop it up high into the air. So one of the clubs, for example, a lot of golfers struggle with is the 3-wood. If you're struggling to hit your 3-woods with height and you think they're just low line drive stinger type shots and you're trying to figure out how to get more lift on your 3-woods, the first thing you're probably doing wrong is you're not coming down with a descending angle of attack. If you hit down with a descending angle of attack into the golf ball, it's going to pop up into the air. Instead, you're probably coming in where you're coming in too shallow and you're actually uplifting that club by the time it gets to the golf ball, and that's catching the top half of the golf ball, which is going to top it, and that's going to cause it to shoot out low off the club face. So instead, we want to actually take a slight divot into the ground with our 3-wood. So that 3-wood needs to come down to the ground, hit the golf ball, and then take a very shallow divot right after the golf ball. And by hitting down on that golf ball, it's going to pop it up into the air. So that's going to be mistake number 1. Stop trying to help the golf ball up into the air by leaning backwards, by tilting your shoulders, doing things like holding the club off as you go through the hitting zone. Instead, get real familiar with just swinging, letting those hands release the club head over, and that's going to help you have better contact on the golf ball, and that descending angle of attack is going to get that golf ball up in the air. All right, tip number 2 is going to be not utilizing the correct alignment aids that you have in front of you. So let's go ahead and do one example shot here as if I was coming down the fairway at you guys on camera here. So let's just say I've set up to my shot and I'm getting ready to hit it, and I probably am going to feel like I'm aligned, but if I step away and I actually take a look and see where I'm aligned, you might realize you're not even aligned at your target correctly. So one of the best ways that you can do this is utilize the club in your hand. You can actually set your club down if you're just playing a practice round or an easy going round with friends. Just set that club down on the ground. Check your stance by stepping back and looking at your target line, where that golf ball's aimed at your target, and then check your foot line and see where your foot line's aiming. And those lines should be parallel, and that means you're aiming yourself at your target correctly. So if you find that you're aimed to the left with your foot line, or you find that foot line's aimed over to the right, then that tells you that you're not properly aligning correctly, and this could be impacting your golf game and why you're not hitting the best of golf shots each time you set up to them. Now, the next thing we can utilize is different features on the golf course itself. So let's just imagine there was like a broken tee. So I'm going to use this white tee for example, but let's just imagine that was a broken tee someone had left, and it's about 6-7 feet ahead of our golf ball on the driving range there. So now we can get behind our tee shot, and we can actually use the broken tee as an alignment aid to aim down the fairway or aim at the green like on a par 3. So we're going to be able to see our target that we're aiming at out on the fairway, and then we're going to track our target by tracing a line from our target back to our golf ball. And as we trace our golf ball to our target line, we notice that broken tee is in that line or that path there. So what we're going to be able to do is we're going to be able to then set up to our golf ball. Now we're going to be able to look at that tee on the ground, and we're going to be able to aim our golf ball and our club face at that tee. So when we get our club face aimed up square so that it's pointing straight at that tee in the ground, that's how we know we're aiming at our target, because that's just an extension of our target line going out to our target. So look for a a shred of grass on the ground, look for somebody's chunked divot. There could be, broken tees. There's different things you can find on a golf course in front of your shot that are in your line or your path that you're taking that golf ball to your target line. And you'll be able to use that as an alignment aid to get your club face set up square at your target. All right, so tip number 1, stop trying to help the golf ball up into the air. Tip number 2, use different alignment factors on the golf course to help get you set up so you're properly aligned and you'll start hitting better golf shots. And tip number 3, focus on setting up to each of your golf shots with your different clubs using the correct setups for those clubs. Stop trying to set up on an iron shot with a driver setup, or trying to set up for a driver shot like you would hit a 3-wood. Mixing and matching these different clubs with different setups isn't gonna be the right way to do it. Instead, we wanna know each of the different setups for each of our specific clubs, because our setup changes as our club changes. So the club shaft gets longer for our longer clubs, like our drivers, our woods. It gets shorter for clubs like our 9-irons, our wedges, our 60-degree and 54-degree lofted wedges. So our setup is also gonna change. So this, again, is gonna be one of those issues that you're hitting golf shots wrong because you're having the wrong setup. So with most golf shots, like shorter clubs, you're gonna have the ball more centered in your stance. Your weight is gonna be more distributed evenly, so 50-50 weight distribution here. And then you're gonna swing with more of your body weight coming forward at impact, to where when we take that club back, we load up our weight on our back leg a little bit, but not too much. We don't want to sway back too far because we're going to have to transfer all that weight back forward, and it could cause a lot of errors. So we want to just kind of turn back, have a little bit of pressure, a little bit of weight on this back leg here. So as we get loaded up in the swing and we start to come down to impact, we start kind of pushing off this leg, transferring that weight back forward. At the same time, we're rotating our body forward. So we start to get that body rotated, get the weight transfer going. And by the time we get to that golf ball, most of our body is going to be forward of the line here. So if we had a line that we drew here from where our golf ball and our stance originally was in the dead center of our stance, well, at this point, we're still going to be, the golf ball is still going to be center of our old stance, but now our body's going to be shifted forward, and so most of that weight is going to be coming into that golf shot to help give us power and help hit down at a more descending angle of attack to get that golf ball to lift up into the sky. So that's going to be most of your clubs in your bag, from your irons and your wedges. Now as you get longer into your 3-wood, we start moving that golf ball more forward. That way we can adjust for that longer club shaft. We can get that ball more forward to come in with a little bit less steep of an attack, because we don't want to hit so steep anymore now that we have a longer shaft. Otherwise, we're going to end up chunking into the ground more often. And then as we get to the driver, that ball's going to be off our left foot here on the heel. And at that point, we're actually trying to swing more up onto the golf ball, hitting it off the tee without hitting our club onto the ground. But for woods, for irons, for wedges, we need to be making contact with the ground, taking divots, and that's going to get that golf ball up into the sky, hitting it correctly. And we also will have better weight distribution with our irons and our wedges by keeping it 50-50, where with our driver, we tend to put more weight behind the ball and keep our weight behind the ball. With our wedges, with our irons, we get our weight distributed 50-50 at the start, but by the time we get to impact, more of our weight is going to be shifted forward of that golf ball. So there's a couple different things that change in our setups and how we approach hitting different clubs. And if you start doing those things correctly, you're going to notice your golf shots are coming out straighter and with more power on them, so you're going to start hitting the golf ball further. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Share this channel with a friend who plays golf. Let's get more people into the game, learning how to play golf. And it'll be more fun for you and your friends if you guys can go out and play better rounds of golf after implementing these different tips in these videos. So I appreciate you being here, giving me some time to watch today's tips and lessons. You can find more about our training programs, our drills, our different practice plans that we have available for golfers to utilize at foygolfacademy.com, which will be linked below in this YouTube video.